We're going to be talking with the Pinterest marketing team, and we're going to talk about how Pinterest leverages data to be able to predict but also influence the future. So let's kick it off quickly. So we know that masterful brands and powerful brands are master storytellers. And Pinterest is among these brands because we feel that you're experts at telling your story. Now, the question for you is what is the process that you have to be able to create compelling stories for your audience, for other marketers in the room to learn from you?
Great. Yeah, I think for us, I think this doesn't come as a surprise, but it always comes down to what is the killer insight, right? And I think also looking at what are the things that we're trying to solve for. So we're not just doing things for the fun of doing them, and really getting really crisp on what is the problem we're trying to solve, whether it's for business audiences or consumer audiences. And then we go through all the kind of regular things that most of you other marketers probably do. We look at our data and insights, and we sit on a wealth of data insights on our platform, but we also look at external sources too. And then we put it into the process of, depending on what we're trying to build or create. And for me, I focus a lot on experiences. So we definitely like to think about, for me personally, when I think about that creative process, I don't know, I'll only like to look at that business insight. So let's take CES, since we're here. And one of the things I think about, because I've both been a client as well as someone more on the sell side, is no one wants to sit through a bunch of back-to-back sales pitches that are boring and very similar. And so that's just kind of more that personal need. And then being here at somewhere like at CES, you're also thinking about, man, I'm really tired, a little dehydrated. I've had to walk really far. I'm in these heels. And so also thinking about those personal needs. And as an experiential marketer, I try to think about how can I marry both using some data and insights in terms of what are the problems we're trying to solve, but then also wrapping around ways to delight people and make for a memorable experience. So if any of you have been at the Pinterest activation, we've been immersing people in these worlds and kind of using some of these different programs and franchises we have that are very data-driven, but all in a very creative wrapper.
Yeah, definitely. I was in Brooklyn recently and I saw this beautiful mural and I was like, oh my gosh, this is Pinterest. Can you tell me more about everything that you do in the outside, out of home world as well? How do you come to those messages and colors? And
Elizabeth, do you want to start with some of this or I'm
sure. I think I hope a lot of people have seen the out of home on our latest campaign. It's called Don't Yourself. It's all about the way that we kind of prevent ourselves from trying something new, whether that's procrastination or worrying about what other people think. And so we really wanted the world to feel inspired to take a leap and do something because they want to do it, not because someone's telling them to or because they're doing what they think they should be doing. And really leaning into that idea that you can see yourself on Pinterest and beyond and be inspired to do other things. And so when we're trying to tell those stories, they're very mission driven and value oriented, but also we want to be kind of full circle. So we have the out of home. We also are telling the stories on our platform. We're enlisting creators to tell our stories. We're using earned media, which is my specialty and my favorite, through the lens of news and really trying to paint the trades. And then also even our own executives. So we have our executives post about our campaign and really have a full echo. LinkedIn is a super powerful channel for us to be able to be able to really reach consumers and inspire them to try to do something that they haven't done before and not fear failure along the way. But this out of home is something that's really exciting for us as a brand and really flexing and hearing from all the people who are able to see those campaigns.
I mean, as a consumer, I remember being in Brooklyn and seeing the out of home activation, but I also remember going on LinkedIn and seeing Malik Dukar and Bill Reddy and everybody in the reels talking about the Down campaign. And I had chills because I think you're really good at storytelling. I would love to hear a bit more about the process. How do you make it feel so vibrant and real and interesting?
Yeah, well, like Judy touched on with the process, it's very similar to what, all us as marketers do day to day. You have a human truth. You try to build an emotional connection with an audience. one of the things that's most challenging for us at Pinterest is that we've got a consumer audience, but we also have a B2B audience. So we get asked a lot, like, how do you approach storytelling from a B2B that's different than a B2C perspective? And especially because people are like, we're all human at the end of the day. And, some B2B can be really dry. So like, can't we just kind of approach it in the same way? And I think where I've netted out from working on both sides of the coin is actually on the B2B side, what you need additional chapters to the story. Like you can still tell the emotional connection story, that, human truth, but at the end of the day, you need extra chapters that like really like prove some of the claims you're making. And, these B2B, it's like a very considered purchase, could be millions of dollars. It's risky. This person's putting their reputation on the line for recommending your product or service. And so those additional chapters really give them the proof that they need to know that they're making the right decision. So we think of it as the same process, but just additional chapters to really end the story in the right way for B2B.
I think it's super interesting because a couple of hours ago, we had the CMO of MasterCard who was talking about how it's not B2B, but it's P2P, and it's not B2C, but it's P2P, so people to people. So I feel like it's a trend now that we want to humanize marketing beyond thinking about fixed and rigid segments.
Yeah, I mean, we're all human, and we all want to hear good stories. But that said, like we can't deny the fact that B2B needs maybe a little bit deeper level story. They might need something that's longer form. They might need something that's a little bit more substantive, but it can be told in a really interesting way.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit more about creativity, because it seems like creativity is really intertwined in your DNA, and you have a rich creative process, but also your process is heavily intertwined with data, and you're like data-driven marketers. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you leverage data and insights right in your storytelling? And I know we hinted a little bit about it, but I do think there's a value of like double clicking there.
Yeah, I can kick it off there. I think there's been so much talk in our industry about data and the need for more first-party data, and a lot of that comes from the fact that we all are suffering from signal loss, and so how we're going to use our own first-party data to target people. But we've actually been taking a broader view of first-party data and saying, like, how can we actually use first-party data to add value to our consumers and our customers? And so I'll give an example. We do this program called Pinterest Predicts. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but it's basically our end-of-year trend report for the next year. So it's things that, like the not yet trending report, things that are really nascent, but we think are going to be really big in the next year. And we've got a great hit rate. It's like 80% of the things we predict come true.
Wow.
But we use all the data on our platform in a very safe, anonymized way to put those trends together. And then we serve it up in a really compelling way to consumers. And we know from the way they engage with it, just the traffic to the website, the number of press hits is outrageous. But businesses also find huge value in it because they need to make sure that their products they're relevant, they're being positioned in a modern way. And so we've actually developed something that they can actually buy to be like associated with a trend on our platform. So it's like we're using first-party data to add value to our consumers, to our customers, and then for us as a business, it's actually a revenue driver. So I think that first-party data can just be like, it should be viewed much more broadly than just a mechanism to target.
And I think, Stacey, that's very exciting because first-party data is also privacy safe, right? And I think some of the conversations we're listening
when done well.
Yes. When done well, yeah. The former panel was just talking about privacy and navigating data. And what's beautiful is that both LinkedIn and Pinterest are the number 1 and 2 most trusted platform. And can you tell us a little bit more about trust and the customer experience on Pinterest?
Sure. I think, well, one of the things we know, and it feels like just common knowledge, when you trust one of the places that you visit, you're probably going to do more there. And so we know that on our platform, that being one of the most trusted platforms, people come on with a lot of trusted intent, people come on with commercial intent. And I think more than half of the people who come on are ready to go shopping or wanting to purchase something. And we know that that correlates to that high level of trust on our platform overall. And so we're definitely seeing a lot of engagement in that area. And I don't know, Elizabeth, if you have some.
Yeah. I think like thinking about that report and how Pinterest kind of topped that list this year is really also just our continued demonstration that we're committed to inspiration and that we build it deliberately. So, if you want to create a positive space, you have to do so with intention and make tough decisions. So, for example, we were the first to ban political ads. That those types of things really make a statement. We this year banned climate misinformation, which was really meaningful in market. We also really are committed to inclusive products and making sure that people can see themselves on Pinterest. So we rolled out hair pattern this year, which means that if I'm searching on Pinterest, I can see a curly style, whereas if Judy is searching, she can see a straight hairstyle, and we can both find things that resonate with what we want to see effortlessly. And so those types of commitments are things that help people build trust, and we've been doing that for the past 10 years, and I think that demonstration is becoming more of a differentiator for us now than before, given, we continue to kind of consider what is the role that social media is playing for our mental health. When we use a platform, do we feel better when we walk away, or do we feel worse? And if you think about Pinterest, what was really exciting for me when I came to Pinterest is I was like, I always feel inspired. I feel better. I feel like I want to do something off of the platform. And those all contribute to what trust would be for a platform.
I think it's amazing to hear. It felt very refreshing when that campaign came out. Different voice, very positive and inclusive spaces. I think we can really relate to that, especially for us at LinkedIn. Let's pivot to a topic I'm passionate about. I'm a big shopper, love to shop. And I love Pinterest because I'm a big home decor fan. And my husband is like, okay, let's stop spending. But let's talk a bit about the future of commerce. Like, what is your role in commerce? And I'm going to hint, before being here, I spent 10 years at Google, and Bill Reddy was our VP of retail. And now he's the CEO of Pinterest. And then Malik Dukar as well from YouTube. So I want to hear more about what's in store for commerce in 2023 for people like me.
Yeah, so a few things. First of all, we're all super excited about this year for commerce because I think it's the year that we're going to pivot maybe away from buying and a focus on shopping. We've been so focused on making sure that there's like a seamless, frictionless experience for a customer to buy or consumer to buy that I think we forgot about the magic of shopping and that whole customer journey. So we think that that's going to be one trend. The other thing that comes along with that is, again, going back to the signal challenged world that we're all living in, is I think context and mindset are going to be even more important when you think about brands reaching consumers. So is it in a context that makes sense, like where your message shows up? Is it going to be in a mindset where that person's open to hearing your message? And I think when you have a signalless or signal challenged world, you just don't know. You have just less confidence that the person you're reaching is the right person. So I think we're going to kind of go back to the 90s where context and mindset really mattered. And that's one of the reasons why I came to Pinterest. We have an amazing audience in that 50% of the people on our platform actually come there just to shop. 50%.
Wow.
So there's so much opportunity to take them from that discovery phase of the journey to where they're making a decision on what they're going to do or buy or products that they're going to use, and pull them all the way through to actually doing, which means purchasing and doing what they want to do in real life, why they're on Pinterest to begin with.
And you want
to well, another really interesting stat that a lot of people don't know about Pinterest is 97% of searches are unbranded. So when people are coming, they're looking for a couch. They're not looking for a Joybird couch, right? And so that leaves a huge opportunity for brands to really come in and bring value to consumers. And on Pinterest, ads are actually considered content. As long as you're bringing value and inspiration, then you're delivering on what the consumer is looking for. And in terms of where shopping is going on Pinterest, what we see is 50% come with the intent to shop, but everybody wants to be able to buy what they're seeing on Pinterest. And we have so much opportunity in making more of our surfaces shoppable on Pinterest. So whether that's shopping in a board, shopping in search, being able to shop within a shopping spotlight, there's a lot of opportunity to make every click closer to the opportunity to shop with intention, because you really want to buy it, because you've been planning for it with your boards on Pinterest.
And that's really where Bill Reddy's vision is aligned to where we're headed, which is everything shoppable.
That's exciting. Because you've given us a lot in 2022, so can you give us a sneak peek, because you're at CES, into what's coming in 2023?
More. I'm just teasing. But I think, as we look ahead, I think there's a lot of really, really exciting plans for Pinterest overall as a brand. And I will just take this minute to embarrass her. We have Xanthi Wells, who just joined, our new VP Creative Director. So obviously creativity and kind of our future plans, being a very future-oriented brand, there's a lot of excitement, I think, both from a product perspective as well as what we're going to do creatively. So don't want to reveal too much, and as I look at Elizabeth from her comms team to make sure.
So far, so good.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, she's the policy person. That's why she's here. So we're not gonna know. Don't gonna know.
Well, yeah. We will say that obviously we've got a lot of exciting plans for the industry too, for those who are more in the B2B world. So we will be at Cannes. We'll be at some other places. I can share that. So. And we're always doing very exciting things. As someone had mentioned, we try to make those moments memorable and valuable, both from a business perspective as well from a personal perspective. So
that's exciting. Well, I'll hold my breath because we'll be at Cannes as well, and I'll be first row waiting for the new different creative ideas that come out of Pinterest. Any parting word for brands who are trying to tell a compelling story and trying to be cool and hip? A lot of people have come on stage today and said everybody wants to be cool and hip, but nobody wants the commitment of like the effort that it takes to be able to be creative. Any parting words before we open it up to the questions from the audience?
Well, I'll say if you want to be cool and hip, you need to have cool and hip people, and that means diversity on your teams. You cannot be cool and hip and homogenous. That absolutely will never work. So really building solid teams that are reflective of what consumers look like and can reach everyone. That's something that's really important. And so that is especially top of mind.
Yeah, 100% representation across all the company, but also your audience online and their behavior and interests. I think it's a great idea.
Well, us as marketers have great opportunity. We have people that in front of the camera. We have people behind the camera. We have the people who are like working actually on the teams, but it's also the people we partner with on a day-to-day basis.
So it's every decision that you make is a vote, right, towards community and representation. That's what I'm hearing. Any thoughts from you, Judy?
And something else I often reflect about too, because it's how do we move at the speed of culture, but in a smart way? Because I think sometimes we think about, as marketers, growth at all costs, but we see how that's not worked for some businesses. So I think, I've been really proud to be at Pinterest because I have worked at companies where it was growth at all costs. So thinking about, having really smart, considered growth, really thinking about the impact that we leave both on other businesses as well as humans and humanity. And so not to get too high-minded about it, but I think that's really important because I want to work for a place that I'm proud of that's not doing harm to the world. So I hope that everyone else with the brands and businesses that you do, I think that's a big source of where my creativity comes from, is being inspired and motivated by where I work and, what the services that we provide to everyone out there.
That's amazing. It's like doing good by doing well, doing well by doing good.
That. Yes.
Yeah, and it's, we have a similar philosophy at LinkedIn where it's members first. So we're not going to put profit before the people. So thank you so much for sharing. And we want to make sure that you all in the audience can ask any question that's top of mind to our Pinterest group of people. So let us know if you have questions. One, two, three.
Well, I can make a fun plug for those who might. Okay. In the meantime, if one of the things that we see is really exciting is mental health and the role that technology plays in society. And so kind of thinking about what we could do to contribute in a new way, we have an incubator group called 220, and they created a new app called Shuffles. And it's really, really fun and very CES. It's basically a standalone app that we've created that is being really embraced by Gen Z. It was the #1 app in the lifestyle apps on Apple, where you can basically kind of throw back to the vision boarding, the cropping different photos in the 90s, and like lots of fandoms, and really kind of making a tribute to what you want, your Taylor Swift poster to look like in your room. But the thing that's also really cool and differentiating about it is the amazing cropping tools. So people are using it in really, really creative ways, and also kind of just for their mental health, just kind of vibing out and making really pretty. I've seen my friends using it for like flyers for parties or birthday tributes, but there are all different ways to use shuffles. I use it for interior design for my apartment, but it's something that is from our innovation arm, and it's really cool and fun and Gen Z. So wanted to make a plug for shuffles too.
It's amazing. Thank you for the plug. So we had a question from the audience.
You kind of just answered my question. Brandy Fior, Eileen Fisher, yesterday a thread throughout some of the presentations was on like how are brands thinking about purpose and things like mental health, and how does that thread throughout their experiences. So I'm curious if you have anything else or want to expand a little bit more on how Pinterest thinks about purpose.
Well, did you say you worked with Eileen Fisher? I'd recently been in the store in Cobble Hill or in Brooklyn, and I saw that there was some recycling or like upcycling that you do there in the store. So we know that's a huge trend with the next generation. It's not about constantly buying new, but how can you make the things that you have feel new? How can you like start doing that? So I thought Eileen Fisher kind of diving into that is already tapping that kind of insight and trend, and that's something that we definitely want to get out there and have more people do. I think, but kind of going back to your question about purpose, and it is a lot about what Elizabeth just mentioned around mental health and well-being, and really trying to design both our products and policies to support that. And that's really like where we've made that stake early on. I think we were the first platform that stopped accepting political ads, and we were one of the first ones that we banned weight loss ads. And we've done that because that was the right thing to do. It wasn't that this is something that we just wanted to constantly signal, but that is what our platform is all about. There's no place for that in a platform that's all about inspiration and manifestation. There's no place for that sort of negativity. So that's really what helps us remain part of being the positive corner on the internet.
I think the challenge is, what do you do when economic times are tough, right? So we're all facing economic headwinds. We all have resource tightening going on. Do you lean into your values, or do you retrench to be more focused on the core business? And our perspective is, now's the time to lean into your values, because your audience is like looking to see, are you going to actually be authentic, or were you just there, because you felt like that was the trend at the time, or it was easy? So if you really want to build an authentic connection with your audiences, we are counseling people to like lean into your values now more than ever.
No, I think it's a beautiful message. And Ray Dalio always says that's not how you do in good times, it's how you do in bad times. And I know that a lot of people are going through very tough times. So really appreciate that there's safe places on the internet. Well, thank you so much, Markham people of Pinterest. And we'll be in touch, and we'll follow all the different announcements this year. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.